We did not know when he was born that he was handicapped. We thought he had colic. And come to find out at his 2-month checkup that he was microcephalic and had cerebral palsy and had seizures. We took care of Ben as best we could for 18 months, and we were getting a little exhausted, keeping up with medicines and different therapies and all kinds of things. We realized we needed help, and it was one of the toughest things we've ever had to do. On January 17th, 1989, which is a date you don't forget, when you hand your child over for someone else to take care of, that was the day Benjamin came to the home. And it was probably the best day of Ben's life, although it was probably the worst day of our lives. But in retrospect, it was actually the best day of all of our lives.
Our KOSAIR Charities Pediatric Convalescent Center is the state's only skilled nursing facility for medically complex children. This is a very special place where we have 76 children that live with us, where we provide 24/7 compassionate nursing. We provide everything that they need, including respiratory therapy, occupational, physical, and speech therapy, activities, and anything else that they need in order to thrive.
They not only took care of Ben, they took care of us. And the Home of the Innocents is our family and has been since. And there's no way you can ever repay someone who's taken such good care of your child.
They are the most lighthearted, resilient group of individuals that I've ever worked with. They can put a smile on your face if you're having the worst day. Just their interactions and the smile that they give each other and give to staff can brighten your day.
You know, I didn't know that this was going to happen to us and our first child. If we hadn't had the Home of the Innocents, I don't know where we would have landed up.
Right now, we're undergoing a transformation in the KOSAIR Charities Pediatric Convalescent Center, where we're taking our kids from their current units or cottages, and we're rearranging them onto neighborhoods. The hope of the neighborhoods is to really have a sense of community and that there's a belonging.
Basically, it's more one-on-one, and the staff can truly get to know the residents and their needs. Not only their medical needs, but their social needs as well.
We're more about the child as, a whole human being and all of the needs that a human being has, to be loved, to be cared for, to have someone care about them and not just for them. And really, I think that's where the neighborhoods come from in a lot of ways, is that wanting to deliver that care in a community sense.
To see a 15-year-old that's been physically or sexually abused come into our organization, stay with us, to then watch our team provide care to him, therapy, listening, connection, and to then help harness that self-purpose that is inside that young adult to want to move beyond those circumstances and watch that transformation happen is extremely powerful. And that happens here almost every single day.
My mother suffered from alcoholism as well as drug addiction. She had lost us numerous times. We were about 3 or 4 years old. I remember the door swinging open, and my aunt was standing there with a social worker, and they said, "Get dressed, get your clothes, or what you can pack, and we're going to your aunt's house." So as I was 16, I made the mistake, and so in the middle of the night, they shipped me here. And when I got to the home, I got checked in, went to my room, and so I did crying and everything like that. Yes, no ma'am, just to make sure I didn't get in more trouble. To tell you the truth, I'd lost like a little bit of all hope, because I wanted to be back with that family that was taking care of me. I started to miss that, and I remember the number of nights I would just cry. A lot of the people here, as well as the school I was placed in, saw that there was something different with me. They really wrapped their services around me and able to understand that I wasn't a bad kid, but they over time built my confidence of, it's going to be all right. We can get you out of this situation. Just, you need to hold on a little bit longer. And as I did, like I said, it just blossomed to something successful.
Our goal as an organization is to move our services to really get more into the community, more into the homes, more with the family. We, for so long, have been so reactionary. We take a child in and we have always thought about how we save them from the situation that they were in. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get into the homes and we didn't have to save them from that? We prevented whatever was going to happen.
So community-based services at Home of the Innocents are basically mental and behavioral health services that we take into the community. The goal is to help them function as their best selves, whether that be individually or as a family in the community without our services at the end of the day. We discovered multisystemic therapy, or MST services, and those services are targeted to youth ages 12 to 17 that are engaging in high levels of what we call antisocial behaviors. So they're running away, they're using substances, they are failing in school or completely truant, not even participating in school. These families often result in very abusive behaviors because they think that the only way to parent their child who's being aggressive is through aggression. We have had youth that we've served who have been shot, who have been stabbed, who have done shootings, who have done stabbings. Those youth do not have high chances of survival without a service like MST.
Home of the Innocents was the first one that said, we're going to do a pilot. This is a model that we will pay for. This is a model that we would pilot. This is a model that we would test outcomes with, and then let you know what we did and what the outcomes are.
Home of the Innocents is it's the first agency in Kentucky to be implementing the multisystemic therapy treatment model. One of the things that I think makes multisystemic therapy successful is when you have very strong, well-established organizations like Home of the Innocents that have not only strong clinicians, therapists that are able to work with families on the front lines, but also a very committed and visionary executive team, and through their relationships with policymakers and decision makers in the state, and bring this work to the families in Kentucky.
They got started doing MST during a pandemic. As well, they've had to learn how to engage families and implement MST treatment principles and the model virtually to begin with. So I really offer great kudos to the entire organization for what is really a monumental and heavy lift to get an incredible service to families, and they've done a great job of it.
It's in the home of the person, the family, and that therapist and team is available 24/7, 7 days a week to intervene, to be called for support, to meet with a child, to meet with a family.
When we get calls from an MST client, the biggest feeling that we get from them is hopelessness. We don't know what else to do. We've done everything. We've tried everything. We are tired. And then you have this MST team who you have one therapist who's assigned to you, but you have an entire team of individuals supporting that therapist to provide that family that ray of hope that things can change, things can get better. I can get some rest because there's peace in this family that hasn't been there for years.
There was a fundraiser that a friend of mine had on Facebook. It was to get this kid an iPad. He was nonverbal, but he knew what things were on the iPad and he could communicate. And so they were trying to raise money to get him an iPad. So I made a donation and I didn't think anything else of it. About a week later, I saw the post again and I clicked on it and no one else had given any money. So I just bought an iPad and sent it to their house. Evidently, my name was inside it. And so Alex's grandmother calls me, and she calls me to thank me, and she says, well, would you like to meet him? I said, yeah, sure, I'll go meet him. I mean, within 10 seconds, I was hooked. I mean, he's just, gosh, gosh, it was so funny. We just sat there and laughed the whole time, and he's reaching out and trying to, grab my ear, and he's just laughing, and he's just like so full of joy. So a little while back, Alex coded, and they saved him. And I still remember seeing Shelby for the first time after that happened. And I almost squeezed the life out of her because I know for sure if he were home or with me, he wouldn't have made it. He wouldn't be alive. But his life's back, and he's as happy as he's ever been. And there's no way that happens if Home of the Innocents isn't here. There's no way. Obviously, it's tough for a mother to say, here's my kid, I can't do this the way you can. It's a hard thing to say. But when that happens, you know you made the right decision, and you know you made the best decision for your child. And I think that the home does just incredible things that nobody ever hears about. When I met Alex, I thought, oh, this will give me an opportunity to have a good impact on his and his mother's life in a way that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. Well, what I found out was meeting Alex fundamentally altered my life forever. Because what I realized was all the things I were chasing were completely unimportant. Because here I am looking at this kid who can't speak. He's had 10 brain surgeries. And he's the happiest person I've ever seen in my entire life. And so I think that, giving to the home is allowing these kids to lead their best lives, to be taken care of. And so all the things that they do here at the Home of the Innocents to make things amazing for these amazing people, I mean, you can't find an organization that's more important to the lives of a lot of people you don't know. I mean, I just really believe that the world is a better place because of Home of the Innocents. And I find supporting it is about the easiest decision I can make in a given year.